Well, hello there. It's Nancy today. See, I put my hat on for you. It's amazing how much a hat makes me look different. It even makes me feel better. You may wonder if it's aluminum foil sitting on me. It's not really aluminum foil. It's an emergency blanket. Very thin. Keeps me warm because it's very, very cold today. I think it's 5 degrees Fahrenheit outside. It's negative Fahrenheit or Celsius. And it went down last night to negative, what did it go down to? -2 Fahrenheit? -6 Fahrenheit last night. That was a little bit cold. Anyway, and so it's cold in here. It's just the way it is. I could take all these blankets off and put on another layer of clothes. But I really like this, so here it is. Now, Regina, you said to me that I seem a bit sad. I have to remember to smile. And I find that when I have things that are bothering me or whatever, it's easy to just stay glum. But if I think to myself, smile, Nancy, smile, and then I feel like smiling, and it makes me feel like breathing a happy, deep breath, and then I feel better. But I haven't been doing that a lot. I will tell you what's going on in my life. Dare I do that? I like this hat. It's very pretty. Okay, well, here we go. Complain, complain. So I went to Georgia. I took care of my mom, and I came back, and I had planned on an 18-hour drive home with a couple stops, couple stayovers, and stopping in to see a few people. But I ended up with a 12-hour out of my way journey, and it was not planned, and it was not especially wanted, but I was okay to just do it and just not mind. Anyway, so instead of an 18-hour journey, it was 30. So we got home, I was exhausted. And then we immediately went to Palmyra to the temple. I think it was the day later or the 2 days later. And that was very nice and relaxing. And we got home, and Abraham had broken the toilet, dropped the toilet lid on the toilet because the cold water is something is wrong with the pipes in the cellar. I don't know if they're clogging up with calcium or if there's a frozen area. I can't imagine them being frozen. But anyway, now I can. It's cold out there. However, so when he took the lid off to see what was wrong with the water in the tank, it dropped and it broke on the toilet, which meant that the toilet was no longer any good, and I had to replace the toilet. But in order to replace the toilet, I also had to bring the level of the floor up because the pipe was put in wrong. It was put in about a quarter of an inch too high, and there was no way to fix the wobble and have a nice regular floor. So I had to put in a new floor. Also, the bathroom vanity had been falling apart, and it was on an angle, and all the water kept going off to the sides, spilling over, and the cabinet was rotten on the inside, and the front door was broken off. So I decided I would just replace the whole bathroom. Well, that had not been planned at all. I had been going to go back to Georgia on Tuesday, and this happened on Saturday. And so I ended up buying a whole new bathroom and spending the next 2 or 3 weeks putting it in between sitting around and doing my journaling and stuff. And then as soon as I got that done, I found out that for sure that my sweet daughter and her husband were coming for 20 days. And my eyes opened and I realized what my house looked like. And usually I don't care, but when you see your house from somebody else's view and you see all the cobwebs and all of the dead plant leaves and all of the clutter, which didn't need to be stored right in the middle of our room. All these basket making materials, you don't have to store them underfoot. They can be out in the greenhouse. So it took me, I spent a few days just packing up and getting things out there, and I was always behind. And I'm still behind. My windows are filthy, and I know that the clutter is very confusing to other people. and my family is tolerating it, but it's very difficult for other people to. I don't want other people to have to cope with it and to be, you know, how it would affect anybody other than myself and other people that are quite similar with chaotic brains to mine. Anyway, so I've still been trying to clean up and get rid of things. And then on top of that, we had Christmas, which I enjoyed Christmas. I love my family. All the driving and the visiting late at night, and it takes a toll on me. I can't just do that like I used to. And the cold weather, I find the cold weather is very difficult because it seeps in between the cracks. And although we have double pane windows here, it's very cold out there. It's bitterly cold and it's dangerous. So it's too cold for the salt that usually they put salt on the roads when there's snow or ice and it melts it, it's gone. The roads are perfectly dry and wonderful. However, when it gets too cold, if it gets below 0 Fahrenheit or even close to 0 Fahrenheit or negative 20, negative 18, I'm not sure exactly the number, but anyway, below a certain temperature, the salt will no longer work. The salt is no longer liquidating the ice. So the roads are all covered with ice again, and so until the snow plows go along and put sand everywhere, and even with sand, it's not as safe as with salt. So just knowing that my whole family has been out there on the roads when it's conditions like that, I'm not really a worrier, but I'm just concerned. I just know the conditions. I know the statistics, and I know that I don't like to drive on those roads. So I guess there's a certain amount of fear that's going through my system. I haven't been praying as much as I should and having faith. And you know how it is when you're I guess your plans are changed. I don't usually hold to plans, but I did plan on coming and staying for just a few days and then going back to take care of my mom, leaving my car there, flying home for Christmas, flying back, and carrying on. That's when I didn't know my dear daughter was coming. And so then that changed everything. And of course, I want her here. And that's wonderful. But every day I talk to my mom on the phone and I feel so guilty because I know how lonely she is. I have all these people around and she has nobody. And it's just very. So all these things together, I think they have had an effect on me. Although I persevered and I did the bathroom, it was interesting to watch these videos later, and I don't usually think of myself as someone that sits there and thinks, but when I watched myself in those videos, I did spend a lot of time just sitting there on the bathroom floor looking at all these pipes and imagining how the angles would go and the pathway of the drain water and which way I needed it to go to be able to fit the vanity against the wall and to be able to use the inside of the vanity and to have the sink drain. Anyway, so that is why I have been glum, I think. My daughter says that when you have more than one excuse and you keep adding excuses, it removes the weight of each excuse. Like they if you have to have 10 excuses why you didn't do something, it's like you're hiding the real excuse. I think I'm just overwhelmed. I think that's just all it is that I'm exhausted. You know, it's just a whole lot at once. And there are so many parts to it, so many facets. Nothing is simple. Nothing is just one thing. That's not the way life works. Life, things pile up on you. And you can deal with one situation. And you can deal with two situations or three situations. But when you get a flood of situations, the whole thing seems to capsize the boat, right? Taking on water. You can carry a bit of ballast. That's a hey. Oh, my screensaver came on. I talked so long. Must be set for 10 minutes. Anyway, you take on ballast, and it's normal to take a bit of ballast to keep you floating properly. You know, you need a bit of opposition, a bit of pressure, stress, things that you need to do. Otherwise, you just stay in bed all day. I mean, there's no reason to get up if you have absolutely nothing you need to do. So pressure is good, and so that's like ballast, the things you need to do. And you can carry a certain amount of ballast, and it keeps the ship stable and upright and perfect. If you don't have any ballast, then the ship could tip over or something. No, whatever. But you take on too much ballast. If you take on more and more and more and more, pretty soon it'll sink the ship. I think that might be what happens. It's just very hard to push it forward when there's too much ballast. I think that happens to everybody, especially at this time of year. You hear all kinds of things about the Christmas season and how difficult it is for people. Some people have no difficulty at all. Some people are very relieved when they're invited over. Somebody else is holding Christmas and they don't have to do it. Or some people no longer gives gifts. Everybody's grown up. I'm always concerned about my kids, and I'm concerned that everybody feels loved and feels that they are worth my time and effort and money. Not that I don't do elaborate gifts like some people do, but of course, depending on where your relative is, right? I mean, I'm trying to live within our own means too, which then puts more pressure on. We're out of debt. I don't want to be in debt again. I mean, except for the mortgage. I don't, and so I have to be careful. And yet, I don't want to be cheap. Blah 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 blah. So I'll try to smile. I'll wear my hats. It's a good hat to wear. Kind of floppy. My hats is one of the things I had to put in the room. You know, clutter. If you got too much clutter, after a while, it's just overwhelming because you can't walk. Everything got stuck in the bedroom, and I couldn't get in the bedroom. It was just full of stuff. I'm not sure what it was full of, but I had to bag up all my hats. I bought all those bins and put things in, and I got the hats out, and I got bags of blankets and things like that out, and just got all kinds of stuff that there wasn't room to store, and put it in bins in the greenhouse. And that works. A greenhouse is really a shed, not a greenhouse. It's my long house. It's the long house. That's what I should call it. Okay, well, if you're dealing with chaos and confusion and you're overwhelmed, we're in it together. Just remember, too much ballast and you'll sink the boat. Now and then you have to just dump some of the ballast back out, offload it onto the other ships. Hey there, I got some ballast for you. Oh no, I got enough. Oh well, we'll throw it in the water then. We'll get near to shore and toss it and pick it up later. All right, well, on that note, keep smiling. I made lots of bags. Well, you can do this at home. Fret, worry, you know, forget to say your prayers, forget to read your scriptures. Yep, results may differ.